All right, guys, so we are officially in crunch time right now. The election is only a few weeks away. Trump and Kamala are both making their final pitches to the American people. It's so close right now that I think that anybody who's telling you that they know confidently what's going to happen is either lying to you or delusional. It's one of those two. Now, to me, this election is not coming down to who's running the most skillful or efficient campaign. It's really just a race to the bottom, and whoever's running the worst campaign is likely who's going to lose this election. Now, I wanted to split this up into two different videos here. First, we're going to cover what Trump has been up to lately, and then in the next video later today, we're going to cover what Kamala has been up to lately and try to break down some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses of their various campaigns. So here we have Trump. The latest is that he went to work a sort of like fake PR stunt manufactured shift at McDonald's, right? In sort of a working class appeal kind of attempt. So here we have, to start us off, Trump describing as he is on his way to go and do this shift at McDonald's. Let's go ahead and watch this.
I'm going for a job right now at McDonald's. I really wanted to do this all my life, and now I'm going to do it because she didn't do it. Thank you very much. I'll see you at McDonald's.
So he says at the end there, because she didn't do it. And what he's getting at there is that he's come up with this idea that Kamala didn't actually work at McDonald's part-time when she was younger. I don't know where he's getting this from. I don't know why he's going with this line that she's just like lying about working at McDonald's or something like that. But he hasn't really explained it further. But I guess that's part of this stunt that he's been doing, is that he's trying to show up Kamala and saying, you didn't actually work at McDonald's. Look, I'm actually working at McDonald's. So I think it's a little bit of the motivation behind this. Now, here we have Trump at the actual McDonald's, sort of putting on his uniform here, just looking fantastic. He puts on the apron there, and I don't know why he's standing like this. But yeah, that's him putting on the apron there. Now, here he is working the fryers, I guess, or this is him putting the fries from the basket into the thing. Let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of this here.
Touched by a human hand. Nice and clean. Of course, my hands are nice and clean. This guy's a good instructor.
I appreciate it.
Wow. I'm going to give a really big one so that, look at that, they're just pouring out of it. How good is that, Margot? Here, Margot, have them. Touched by a human hand.
So I guess, I don't know, I think Trump thought that maybe the workers were like reaching directly into the fry bin with their bare hands and then putting them into the containers, and that's why he brought up that point about it not touching human hands, I guess. But that was him working the fry thing there. Now we have him manning the drive-thru. Let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this clip here. This is amazing. I want you guys to listen closely to what Trump says and then what this family in the car here says.
Okay, let's say. You believe this? Look at this guy. He's a MAGA guy all the way.
Okay, so for his first order, yup.
Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody. This is not a normal situation, is it, huh? How are you? What a good-looking family. How did you produce those good-looking kids? Oh, they look like the wife. They look like the wife. How are you? Nice to see you. That's great. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you. And there'll be no charge. Trump is paying for it. Is that okay? Oh, you're doing some extra stuff.
Oh, okay, great.
This is all on Trump.
Oh, all on Trump.
I'm allowed to do that, right?
Yes.
Let's
check and make sure it's everything you said it would be.
It better be. It's going to be the best you ever. I made it myself.
You're the man. Make America great.
That's their order. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good time.
Okay, so part of that interaction there was him saying that it's an amazing looking family, and I wonder how that happened. And maybe it's the girl in the car who's responsible for that. The guy in the driver's seat ends up saying that that's his sister. So a little bit of a weird interaction, a little bit of a weird back and forth right there. But clearly, as you can see from this entire video, I mean, there are literally cameras pointed in the passenger side of this window. So this isn't like a conspiracy. This is just describing what happened. This was an entirely staged event, right? This was not a real McDonald's drive-thru where random customers are coming up to the window and he's, interacting with them. These were, pre-planned things that were going on here. Again, that's not like a conspiracy theory. That's just how these kinds of events work. It was a PR stunt. right? That's exactly what this kind of thing was. So you can see the cameras pointing through the vehicle there, and clearly it was a Trump supporter who had been pre-screened by the Secret Service who was rolling through there. Now, we also had this where Trump is standing in the drive-thru, and he was asked, now here's where we get to some of the substance here, whether or not he supports raising the minimum wage. Now let's go ahead and listen to his response here.
Minimum wage should be raised.
I think these people who work hard, they're great, and I just saw something, a process that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. These are great franchises and produce a lot of jobs, and it's great. And great people working here, too.
But minimum wage is
Wages
$7.40.
have recently
good people.
increased.
So, yes, ma'am.
So clearly, I think, dodging the question that was pretty clear, right? Should the minimum wage be increased? And he says, this is a beautiful place, beautiful people, beautiful process. I love this place, but obviously, I don't think that Trump would be one to fight for a minimum wage increase. In fact, I think that he would, if there was some sort of a bill that was passed through the House and the Senate and ended up on his desk, he would probably veto an increase to the minimum wage. But here we have another question asked by reporters in the drive-thru window. Again, kind of showing you this is not really a real event here that's going on. You have reporters just walking up to the drive-thru window, but he's asked, will you accept the results of the 2024 election? Here's what he says.
Either way, will you accept the results of the election?
Yeah, sure. If it's a fair election, always. I would always accept it if it's got to be a fair election. We're leading in all the polls now. We're leading in every swing state, and we're doing well. And it's no, I don't think so. I don't think so. In fact, they just had an RCP said we're 93.2% chance of winning.
Okay, so Trump's idea of a fair election, to make this extremely simple for everybody, is an election in which he wins. That's the only deciding factor. If he wins, then it's a fair election. If he loses, then it's an unfair election and it was rigged and they cheated and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They are already laying the groundwork right now for them to say that this was a rigged election, right? Now, keep in mind, you have this alarming aspect of how this is all going to unfold here. I want everybody to be prepared for this outcome where you have 2020 election deniers, right? 2020, Trump aligned people who have worked their way into swing state election oversight boards, right? Or election commission boards, right? And these people are going to be incredibly influential in how this election plays out. In Georgia, my home state, for example, due to the recent laws that the Republican state legislature has put in place, due to these election oversight members that they've put in place, you could end up with a situation on election night where if it's a close election, they just arbitrarily, without any evidence of election fraud, declare the results to be sort of in jeopardy or in question, right? Even if they're not. And you could have an incredibly drawn out process where it could take days, weeks, who knows how long, to adjudicate who actually won the state of Georgia, right? They're already laying the groundwork. Trump is saying it here. He said it in other places over and over and over again, that the only way that I can lose this election is if Democrats cheat. That's what he's saying, right? There's no world in which Trump loses the election, even if it was by a landslide, and he peacefully goes away, right? There's no situation in which that happens. He is going to deny the election results if he loses. Point blank, period. Then the question becomes logistically, legally, politically, how does it play out from there? That's the question. And I think there are still a lot of unanswered aspects of that. But, it is pretty terrifying, honestly, given what we saw in the last election cycle between Trump and Biden. What potentially could happen here if Trump actually loses the election, and, how will Republicans behave from there? Now, we also have Trump on the campaign trail here. In this clip, I'm not even going to give you guys an introduction to this. Maybe you can read the caption up here, but this is Trump on Arnold Palmer's dick.
This guy, this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. This guy.
All right. So, yeah. Yep. That's what he's been up to. Now, I don't think there's really much. I don't think there's really much I can add to this, other than the reason I play you this clip is not to say like, well, look at this, the latest crazy thing Trump has said. But it's like, if you listen, and I have done this, to an entire Trump rally from start to finish, this is kind of what it's like, right? In 2016, he had a very clear, much more coherent narrative where he was saying, we're running against the corrupt establishment that has ripped you off, that has exported your jobs overseas, we're going to drain the swamp, etc., etc., etc. He had a much more coherent narrative, right? Even fringing on the populist side of that narrative back in 2016. Then he won. Then he was president for 4 years. His biggest accomplishment was a tax cut for the wealthy. Then he lost in 2020. He declared that the election was rigged against him. And ever since then, it's become a combination of like personal grievance politics centered around his own narcissism, combined with nonsense. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but like, how else do you describe this? We have a presidential candidate here who's going on a tangent about an ex-pro golfer's penis size in the locker rooms. He goes on tangents about Hannibal Lecter, right? He goes on tangents about how windmills are killing all of the birds and causing cancer. Like, there's a combination here that is completely different than Trump's winning strategy back in 2016. And I think that could potentially be his downfall in this election. Now, we also had this to show you some examples of the same thing here. Now, I also think you have to mention the aspect of that, we're 10 years later almost at this point. Trump initially ran in 2015, 2016. Now we're in 2024. And Trump has completely lost it, it seems like, at least mentally, right? If I'm going to sit here, as I did, and criticize Joe Biden for being mentally incompetent or for losing a number of steps, right, as I did, you also have to apply the same standard to Donald Trump. He recently had one of these town hall events or rallies or whatever the case, and I kid you not, he answered a few questions, as pointed out here by the Kamala HQ account. This is not an exaggeration of what happened during this rally. He told his supporters to go and vote on January 5th, not November, okay, not November 5th, January 5th. He rambled about Hannibal Lecter. He acted confused when asked if they should end the event and play a walk-off song. Then he stood on stage for over 30 fucking minutes as songs played back to back to back. So the host, the side person here who was on stage with him said, should we wrap this up? Should we end the event and play one of your favorite songs as a walk-off? He said, yeah, we should play the song. And then he stood on stage. He stayed on stage. Now, if this was Biden, you would have had probably one of his handlers come onto stage and drag him off because they would have recognized, okay, he's clearly lost in the sauce right now. We need to give him an assist. Trump just stood on, look at him. This is him down here. I mean, I can't play the songs for you guys because I'll get copyright here, but he's literally just standing on stage, nodding his head, swaying back and forth, mic in hand, not saying anything, mind you, not saying anything, looking at the crowd, listening to the songs. I think we have Oliver Anthony playing in the background right here, if I can hear that correctly. People start to leave. They're confused about... He stood up there for over 30 minutes, guys. You're going to tell me that the same people who are critical of Biden for his mental decline are not looking at this and having any sort of questions. He stood on stage for over 30 minutes, listening to songs on repeat because he didn't know what to do. He answered a few questions during a town hall and then was planning on bailing, I guess, because, again, the co-host up there with him offered for him to leave the stage, and then he just stood on stage. Now, we also have clips like this. This was, I don't know. Let's just watch it. Let's just hear what he had to say. This is on Harvey Weinstein, right?
It's interesting. I was so amazed that Harvey Weinstein got schlonged. He got hit as hard as you can get hit because he was sort of the king of the woke, right? Yeah. And yet he got hit. And I figured that maybe he wouldn't get hit so hard. But boy, did he get... you don't know him well. I don't know him well. But I watched that, and it was amazing. So what...
Huh? Harvey Weinstein got schlonged. Harvey Weinstein got slonged. Now, he got hit as hard as you can get hit. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here? What does this mean? What does he mean by this? Does he mean that Harvey Weinstein was unfairly treated when he was, found out to be a sexual criminal in Hollywood? Is he saying he was unfairly treated through the judicial system? Is he just saying he got schlonged? It's kind of a weird, it's a weird choice of words there. Now, we had that. We also have this here. Again, one of these things, you guys explain to me what's going on here. We have on Fox and Friends, Trump was asked a question. I believe the question was, what is your favorite farm animal? And it was asked by a child, obviously, right? Here was his response. I'll tell you what I love. I love cows. But if we go with Kamala, you won't have any cows anymore. The cows, gone. Deleted from existence. Killed. Genocide of the cows if Kamala gets elected, right? He says, I don't want to ruin the kid's day, but I love cows. I think they're so cute, so beautiful, but according to Kamala, who's radical left, lunatic, you won't have any cows anymore. So we have to vote her out. If you like cows, you have to vote her out. That's a direct transcript there, guys. That's a direct quote. If you like cows, you have to vote her out because you elect Kamala, there's going to be a genocide of the cows. All right. We also have this here in terms of Trump's latest corruption. In the final stretch of the tight presidential race, Donald Trump is going to be making an unusual move. He's sitting down for an interview with the Saudi government-owned news channel. The interview comes as his family business ties with the kingdom have grown. So he's sitting down for an interview with the Saudi state news channel. Keeping in mind that Trump has connections with the Saudis financially with the Live Golf Tour. He has connections with the Saudis financially through his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who got billions of dollars from the Saudis. He has connections with the Saudis through his hotel businesses. And now he's sitting down and giving them some sort of an exclusive interview. Now, I need to tell you guys how difficult it is to get an interview with Donald Trump, especially one that is going to be even mildly challenging, incredibly difficult to get that kind of an interview. But he's willing to sit down with the Saudi-owned news channel. I wonder why. I wonder why that may be. Now, again, just to finish off here, in terms of the latest polling data, it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50. Here from Nate Silver, his latest bulletin, he has it, Kamala leading 48.9% to 47.2% for Trump. You can see it sort of closing the gap here at the end. You can see it state by state. He has Pennsylvania even, Michigan D plus 0.5, North Carolina, R plus 0.8. I think this is really, we can look at other data here. This is from Race to the White House. Logan, shout out to him. He does some great work here at racetothewhitehouse.com. His chances, he puts 51% to 48% in favor of Kamala Harris. You can look at the map here for his projections. Basically, it's all of the toss-up states are continuing to be toss-ups. If you had to ask me for my predictions as of right now, this is basically what I think is going to happen. Now, is this set in stone? No. Am I some sort of like a guru? No. Obviously, I'm looking at the polling data. This is what I think is likely to happen. Now, any of these states could potentially flip in some sort of a wild card situation. I am pretty confident in saying that Trump is going to win my home state of Georgia, unfortunately. I think he's also going to win Arizona. I think Nevada is a 50-50 flip. Hard to say exactly who's going to win that, but Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin seems to be where this is going to come down to. If you flip Pennsylvania here to Kamala, if she holds the blue wall up here with these Midwestern states, she wins. If Trump manages to pull off Pennsylvania, or if he manages to pull off Michigan or Wisconsin, he wins. So it's an impossible election to predict. I would be lying to you guys if I said I was confident in any of these. But yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare situation, honestly, right? I mean, neither of these candidates is good, in my opinion. If you're going to have me choose if I was a swing state voter between Kamala and Trump, I think that Kamala is marginally better on a certain set of issues that I've obviously outlined on this channel before. But man, it is an utter disaster how these campaigns are being run. Essentially, this comes down to, with Trump, if he loses, it'll be due to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, under his watch by his Supreme Court justices. His extremist policy positions of trying to gut the entire federal government to install Trump loyalists, trying to dismantle entire agencies like the Department of Education, for example, weaponizing the Department of Justice is another thing on there, as well as just people are sick of Trump. People are sick of his extremism, his vibes, his chaos, etc. So I think that will be his downfall, is those major factors right there, as well as the fact that, again, he can't get past the personal grievance politics and return to, something similar to the 2016 more populist narrative that he was running with. If he loses, I think it will be because of those factors. If Kamala loses, it'll be because of some main things that I'll cover in my video later today on Kamala. But I think basically it comes down to she won't separate from Biden. She won't separate from Israel on the genocide in Gaza. She's not focusing heavily enough on left-wing economic populism. That's basically what I think this election comes down to. So it's a race to the bottom. Any one of these swing states could flip, and that could flip the election. I mean, you can mess around with this if you guys want on your own time, but it's going to be incredibly close. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Absolute disaster.
Politic guy has the best politic. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me. Everyone is saying